We are back on the Visionary Mindset podcast. This is episode 11, and today we are here with Paige. She's a local luxury realtor and community builder. So we're going to dive into her story, her background, how she got into the industry, and what she's up to today. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Tell us your beginning from growing up, if you grew up in the area, how you transitioned into the real estate industry. What did you do before, and just your story?
So I'm a born and raised Southern California native, born and raised in Santa Barbara, gorgeous place to grow up. I really did not want to be in real estate. My family everybody's in real estate. My dad's a real estate developer who builds shopping centers. My brother's he's a property manager at Stanford for medical buildings. My cousin's an appraiser. So my mother and my father work together. So he's 89 and he's still building shopping centers down in Los Angeles. So I went to college, wanted nothing to do with real estate. It was, when I was younger, it was CAD drawings and blueprints and him never being home. So I took that as a definite vision of no. Went to school and actually wanted to be in Hollywood. My mother was an actress and a singer in the 60s, and I was like, that sounds way more fun. And so I graduated. I got my first job actually with Aaron Spelling on the show Charmed, and I was making $13,000 a year, working 40 hours a week, and commuting 2 hours each direction with no overtime and no benefits.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, this sucks. So I looked at my dad and I said, I'm not moving home. And he said, well, you're going into real estate. I said, no, I'm not going into real estate. Well, without me moving home, I needed a job. And so he was able to, full on nepotism, got me a job with one of the top commercial property management companies in Los Angeles. And it was like the bug bit. And I never looked back. I spent 15 years in commercial. I managed retail properties, industrial retail and office for about 15 years. I owned my own company. I ended up managing all of my family's retail properties for years. And then it was funny. I asked my dad for a raise. I think it was 2012. And I asked him for a raise and he said no. I said, but wait, Dad.
Oh, wow.
I manage everything and I haven't had a raise in like 8 years. He says, you're not getting a raise. So I started to supplement with residential, started selling, for friends off and on, kind of learning the business. And commercial leases and sales contracts are so much more difficult than residential.
Right.
Picking up a residential contract was a no-brainer.
Yep.
And I was already working with so many high-end companies like the Starbucks, the Walgreens, and companies like that working with a luxury type buyer or seller was also a no-brainer.
Yep.
So in 2019, my father decided to sell everything and I lost my job. So I am now fully into residential because that's the only thing else I know. And so that is how I've gotten to be where I am today, is just, my father saying no. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So 2019 transitioning full-time into residential, and then COVID hit. So how did that transition look?
So in 2016, I started to do more residential than I already was. And so I kind of already knew dabbling, I knew the process. And by 2018, I had really started digging in, and the commercial stuff was so easy for me. It was almost like I do it in my sleep. So in 2019, I hit the ground running, and the sales were coming in, and I knew the marketing. I'm a marketing major, so that was easy. Well, then in January 16th of 2020, my entire world exploded, and I had a very traumatic divorce. My daughter and I moved in with family, did not know this pandemic was coming. So pandemic hits, we're living with family, I have no money. I have no money coming in, and realtors were put on the non-essential list. So we can't work.
Yeah.
And I have nothing. So when we were put back on the list to work, I started to grind, and I started to grind hard. And within 18 months, my sales were going through the roof. I got a luxury certification. I was making Master's Club. I was making all of it. And I was able to do that for, till November of 2022.
Yep.
Year over year, my sales were doubling. My transactions were doubling. November 2022, I'm diagnosed with lung cancer. stage 1 lung cancer. Never smoked a day in my life. So we go from divorce, pandemic, grinding, to lung cancer. Had a partial, full right corner of my lung removed in January of 2023, and I can't work for an entire year.
Oh my gosh.
So literally stopped working, nothing. Luckily made enough during the pandemic that I was still raising my daughter. We're still doing just fine. But now it's like the beginning of this year, I had to start over again. And the why changed. The why really went from, yes, I want to be top producer. I want to be the best in the area. I want to be the top luxury agent to, I don't really care about any of that anymore.
Yeah.
We moved into more of a female entrepreneur. What does it mean to really take care of your clients and take care of other realtors? And what do other realtors need when they're struggling? And so that's kind of where I am now.
And so that's transitioning into your community piece now and really wanting to support people and be that kind of foundation for people that may be struggling or want to, enhance their life in their business or personal.
Exactly.
And so tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in the community now.
So I've been able to partner with a woman. She's actually out of Arizona. She has given me the honor of being our chapter leader here. It's called Connect and Cultivate. Mm-hmm. And Connect and Cultivate it's for female entrepreneurs, not just realtors, but it's for, female entrepreneurs, we're lonely. We do not have that connection like you do in a normal office. And it gets really lonely and it gets really sad actually.
Yeah.
And as realtors, even, there's so much competition that makes it even worse when you're in these spaces and you need that connection. So Connect and Cultivate that's what it's based off of. I'm building a group for female entrepreneurs to meet other people in our industry, but also other industries. Have that, we call it, how do we put it? We call it connection over competition. And we're working on building social media pop-ups, which were fabulous. We were so
just did one yesterday.
Yeah, we did one yesterday here. It was so much fun. But we're going to be doing those. We're going to be doing ladies' nights out. We're going to be doing workshops on how to build your business better, but not just the realtor business. I've got women that are personal trainers, that are in lending, that are in, we had the travel agent. Yeah, the travel. Mm-hmm. She was awesome yesterday. And it's just trying to make this industry as a female entrepreneur just a little smaller and just a little bit more personal. And I'm already starting to see, I've got a lot of women that are reaching out. They're like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. So it's pretty cool.
Well, and I feel like, Sacramento and these larger cities I feel like it's starting to become bigger for these women groups and entrepreneur groups. Mm-hmm. So it's great to see, I've seen it starting to build in other cities. So it's awesome that you're kind of starting to build that branch here.
Yeah.
So, where do you see that going? Where do you see, your business, are you wanting to transition out of real estate? Where do you see the next 5 years?
I will never not sell. I'm very fortunate that most of my business for real estate does come from referrals. Yeah. And so I don't really feel like, yes, I would love to transition out of the type of real estate with the cold calling and all of the, your basics.
Yes.
So, because honestly, that's not what I'm good at. Mm-hmm. I know I'm much better at creating spaces for women. And I think with everything that I've gone through, I can bring such a bigger aspect and view to other women. It's kind of like when I'm working with a seller, and I say to the seller, I know that you're interviewing 2 or 3 other agents. How many times have those agents moved themselves? Mm-hmm. It's that, and then they're like, well, I don't know. It's like, well, I've moved 17 times in the past 22 years.
Yeah.
So I know the process. I know what we're doing here. If you have an agent that's never moved, they lived in the same house for 25 years.
They don't have the same struggles.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yep.
So I think the struggles I've gone through and being a single mom and everything, I think it just adds more to the pot for not just real estate, but also for the entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of real estate is dealing with, family situations and dynamics and, how can we get through this transaction smoothly,
No, it's crazy. It really is. And especially like with marketing, I think if you don't know how to market to the right type of buyer, then you're just marketing to the masses. So it's all about just picking that one area that you're really good at and stop getting the squirrel syndrome.
Yeah.
I mean, I suffer from squirrel syndrome. So it's like,
Yeah.
you really have to just focus in on what you're good at.
Yes. Niche down, build in a certain market. There's other people that are like, oh, I want to sell in this town because I know this town. I've grew up here. I know the community.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's great. So in terms of marketing, where do you see strengths and how have you utilized social media, video, photo, obviously for, your real estate listings and media, but just social media in general, how important is it right now with what you're doing and what you're wanting to do?
I think it's extremely important. I think if you cannot accept the world that we're moving into, you're going to get left in the dark. And there is so much negativity in our world that people want to see your authentic version of you. They want to know who you are. They don't want to know who you think you are or you think you want to be. They want to know you. And I think that works across the board from any industry that you're in. And I think with video and, it's like one of the women that was here yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
she was like, I don't know how you do it. How do you just get on camera? I'm like, trust me, it's taken years.
Yeah.
But you just have to do it.
Yes.
And, done is better than perfect. Do I look at my videos? No. No. But done is better than perfect. Get it out.
Right.
And if it offends somebody, that's not my client.
Mm-hmm.
If it attracts somebody, that's who I want to work with. And it's also about like niching down. I don't want to, in my videos or my social media, I really want to target that specific person that I want to work with.
Yes.
Because even though the niche might be really small, a really, really small niche, at least I know that's a guarantee versus, throwing all the pennies going, which one's going to hit the bottom?
What's
going to hit?
And then that one that hits is not the right, person
one
for you.
Yeah, because if I post something or I post a video or I highlight something and it attracts one person, that person's then going to tell somebody that they like.
Yes.
That's in the same niche. And it's just, it just takes care of itself.
Yeah. So, for people like yesterday, that we had a few people in here that, are nervous to get on video. A lot of people are.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for people that are wanting to start, build a personal brand, get on social media, start on video? What advice would you have for them?
One thing I've heard from a lot of women is, I don't like the way I look. I don't want to have to put on all the makeup. I don't like the way I look. I don't recommend filters, but I think when you're starting out and if you can see yourself in a light that makes you feel better about yourself, use a filter. Pop something on Snapchat. I mean, give yourself bunny ears. It's what's going to make you comfortable. And put yourself in a comfortable situation. Don't go stand out in front of, an investment property and try to do video when investment properties aren't your thing. Get to a spot, it's really figuring out who you are and what you're comfortable with. I mean, if you're comfortable, like I wear jeans. I always wear jeans. I don't dress corporate America anymore. My clients love it. If I dress like corporate, the whole thing on a listing appointment, they'd be like, who is this?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? I mean, if I'm in jeans and flip-flops, they're going, there's my girl.
Yes.
It's make yourself comfortable. Put yourself on the video. Make it a short one. And if you don't want to speak, there are so many ways on Instagram to not speak. You could even do a whole Instagram with just your hands.
Right.
I mean, so it's
or
starting
have
small.
have maybe conversations like this,
Yes.
to where you're not talking directly to a camera.
Exactly.
Maybe you're having a conversation with
Exactly.
someone and then you pull content from that, or you just have somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Exactly.
And,
This is easy. This scares the bejesus out of people. So it's a lot.
Yes,
It's a lot. But
it
it's
is.
also, I think, if you're just coming into this business, it's like I was talking actually to a new agent yesterday about this. She's panicking. What do I do? I said, well, number one, you need to align yourself with somebody that's been there. You need to find a mentor. You need to find a coach. You need to find somebody that is willing to spend the time to teach you, to train you, but to give you the baby steps. And most new agents coming into this business, they take their test, they join some random brokerage because someone said to, and they're thrown to the wolves. They don't understand that having a real estate coach, I've had one for 9 years, Anybody that is any good at what they do has a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach. Bill Gates has a coach. Everybody has a coach. And they're expensive, yes. But what you get in the back end of it, if you're not willing to invest in your business, you're in the wrong business.
Yep.
So, and it's even the same thing with social media. Find a social media guru. Find someone that you follow them on Instagram. You are attracted by what they do. If they're local, make a phone call.
Right.
People in our business are so willing to share
Yes.
and to give our knowledge because it's what we do and it's what we love.
Well, and you can find, for us, for media, we've found, digital courses to where, there's some courses that are bad and then some that are great. Like, there's one full-time filmmaker that we got into a few years ago, and, it's just step-by-step guides, video, and they're constantly, they have a community on Facebook and things like that. So, I mean, that, things like that can help catapult you. And
completely. I think too, on the other side of it though, is as new agents, it's aligning yourself with the correct brokerage. There is no best brokerage for everybody. Mm-hmm. It does not exist. I've been with 6 of them. So, and you really have to, you might outgrow a brokerage. You might need something that's got more tech. You might need something. Right. For me, I actually just moved over to Real Brokerage. And the main reason I did, for 2 things. When my divorce hit, I lost the pension. I lost all my retirement. Mm-hmm. So I'm going, oh shoot, I've got to start over. Real allows me to, I have an end game. Mm-hmm. I put so much of my commission back into the company, into a market share account automatically. That money probably would have been spent at Nordstrom or new shoes or taking my kid to Disneyland. But now that I know that I've created that, plus the healthcare, I'm going, we get healthcare. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But on the social media side, the business partners that I have access to now have catapulted my social media.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But Real might not be for everybody. Somebody might really love Coldwell Banker. Someone really might some other brokerage. It's about really researching as a new agent to find that brokerage that is going to do what they need for you.
Yes. And that broker that's going to help assist you in that culture of that office. If you vibe well with them and you can grow your business with them, then
it's huge.
Yeah.
It's totally, totally huge.
So in terms of coaching, I know that you've mentioned that in the next few years you're looking to start speaking, maybe write a book, so tell us a little bit more about that. And
you weren't supposed to say anything. No,
it's okay.
No, what it is I've had so many people be so moved by my story about everything I've gone through. I mean, I've just given you the 2-cent mark of it.
Yes.
And people are like, there's something in my story that moves them. And I've had my business coach say, we need to start working on a book because of just everything I've gone through. And so there's a consideration for that. But, I love public speaking. I love reaching people, whatever that means, if it's through my story or if it's through a mentorship program. So in the next couple of years, we're dabbling, my business coach and I are dabbling in strategy, what that looks like. Yeah. Because honestly, I really don't want to have a stroke at 85 sitting in an open house. That is not how I want to end my life. It's really, really not. So it's finding that, what does the end game look like? And even if you're 25, 35, 45, what does your end game look like? Because it'd be nice to retire at some point.
It's funny that you mentioned that because there's some agents that have been in the industry for a while and they say how hard it is to leave. Some of them have been trying to retire for the last 10 years and they just keep getting sucked back into it.
You get sucked into it. So, I mean, it's a high. You get that call and you make that deal and it's a high. But at some point, I don't want business to be my high. I want something else. I want something personal to be a high.
Yes.
So, and I think you don't realize that.
Your time, your terms.
Yes. Absolutely. My time, my terms, my family. So, I mean, I feel like the past 10 years has been all about my kid. And yes, she is my number one priority. She always will be. But at some point, I want something else to be my priority.
Yeah. So transitioning back into real estate a little bit, there's been some changes this year, with the NAR agreement and the interest rates just changed a little bit. So tell us about those changes. What do you see in the market going into 2025? What challenges do you see facing buyers and sellers right now? And what's your advice?
Well, I think, and I'm sure I'm going to get shot for saying this, but the NAR settlement is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to our industry.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that they have a lot of work to do refining it and fine-tuning it. But for so long, just look at Hollywood, just look at movies. Realtors are put in such a bad light.
Mm-hmm.
You've got movies like American Beauty, and she's standing there and she's saying, I will sell this house today. We are put in such a bad light that I think the NAR settlement is going to finally put us into a different category of professionals, and we need it. I'm also probably going to people are not going to like me saying this, but I'm tired of the fly-by-night agent. They're also making us look bad. Mm-hmm. For those of us that went through the pandemic and we pivoted, we did a great job. This is just another pivot. And we are going to be able to service our clients so much better because we have all been forced to physically read every single contract.
Yeah.
And I know some agents that have never read the contract. They just check the boxes. What's your purchase price? What's your loan? They have never read the nitty gritty. And that contract is the basis of every single deal that we do. That is our Bible. And if you haven't read it, you are doing your client
it's a big disservice.
Big disservice. So I'm thrilled about it. Am I thrilled that interest rates are coming down? Yes. Right now, I think the past 4.5 years for realtors in this industry have been, it's been momentous up and down. Our emotions have been all over the place. We have had to change the way we do things so many times.
Yep.
We're tired. We're burned out.
Yep.
I'm hoping 2025 creates a little bit of just a straight line. So we can do our job, we can learn the stuff we need to learn and not have so much volatility. I think, and if that's high interest rates or low interest rates, I still think a straight line for a little while would be really nice.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see come February, March, the numbers of how many agents that got licensed during the pandemic don't renew.
I know. I've seen the numbers have just been increasing.
The pandemic agent, I'm hoping, is going to phase out unless there are those that this is their career, this is their job. But for those that the fly-by-nights, the part-timers, those of us that have been doing this long enough, we're the dedicated. Let us be the dedicated. Let us be the professional. So
a lot of lenders that have left too. Just had a lot of lenders. Just had a lender in here that was talking about that too. So
and people complain and they get their hair on fire, and I'm just like, we're just pivoting again. We pivot life every day.
Yep.
This is just another.
The people that are dedicated are meant to be in the business and are resilient. They're going to be all right.
Yeah.
So
I think we're going to be just fine.
So tell us about a memorable experience, with a client, that impactful, made you feel good in the past, and then maybe something that wasn't so memorable.
Actually, so my most memorable and my most impactful is actually the same. I worked with a client. She was actually one of the heads of engineering for a very large, I will not say the name, company in tech. Lived in El Dorado Hills, and she hired me. Actually, she hired me over hiring. So she was being transferred to Colorado.
Okay.
And so I was up against 2 other agents that were given to her by her company for the move. And I beat both of them, which was great. We had a wonderful rapport, this woman and I. And we're getting ready for pictures. And she's in Colorado, and she calls me and she goes, "Hey, I'm guessing that the stripper pole in the gym needs to go." And I'm going, "Yeah, I think we need to get the stripper pole out of there." So getting the stripper pole out of the ceiling, out of the floor, I've never had to move a stripper pole before. So that was one of those experiences. She goes, "I'm just, just got to chalk it up. Nothing surprises me any longer."
Yes.
So, but after we closed on her house, we actually closed, we went under contract. We went on the market at 2.2, I think it was. We closed at 2.785, 18 days, all cash. And she texted me about a month later, just out of the blue, and she goes, "I just need you to know you made me whole." And it just hit me. And I was like, I made you whole financially. She goes, all of it.
Wow.
You made me whole. You understood exactly what you were doing. You knew exactly what needed to be done. You didn't let me falter. You didn't let me sway. And you made me whole. And I did not lose any money on the build of that house. I made money and everything is whole.
Wow.
And I still have a screenshot of it. It's one of those ones every once in a while when crap looks pretty crappy.
Yeah.
I
You
read
get
that.
messages like that. And you're like, okay, everything's all right.
And it wasn't solicited either. It was just out of the blue.
For all the 100, the 100 good times that you have, you always like hold on to a negative one, but it's always good to have a really good, positive one that's like, okay, all the negative ones don't matter.
The cool thing was that was in the middle of the pandemic. I was in the middle of my divorce. I was in the middle of all this. And I was able to keep all of that aside. And she had no idea.
Wow.
All this stuff on the back end was going on with me. And I was still able to produce that for her.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. If I can get through this, then
I can get through anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for, we bring people on, that are visionaries, in their life and their business. There's a few like keywords that we attribute to those people, being, resilient, optimistic, creative, risk takers, inspirational. What one or two of those words would describe you?
Definitely resilient. I mean, with what's been thrown at me in the past 4 years, I swear God's been testing me. I think resilience for me is a big one. And I'm hoping it's visionary as well. I mean, what I want to produce and what I want to do in the future, I'm hoping I can get there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you get this, but it's hard for me when people say, you're so good at this, or you're so good at that, or how do you do that? When I don't feel like I have to push to those things. It's like if I'm pushing to do something, I feel like, okay, now I'm getting there.
Yeah.
But for things that in my life that come easy, I feel like that's just like okay. So
yeah,
the things that I'm starting to push at, the visionary stuff, that's where I'm hoping that one day someone could say, oh my gosh, you just make this look so easy. I'm like, I've been pushing at that for years. So
let me show you how.
Let me show you how.
Right.
Exactly. And that's the goal. None of what I do anymore is, like I said, it's not about being the best at this or that or whatever. I want to learn something. I want to watch somebody else become the best at it. That's like the main goal. So whether it's finding your niche, becoming a single mom and trying to figure out this whole real estate mess as a single mom, if I can watch somebody else just catapult themselves, I've done my job.
Well, and it seems like that kind of stuff is very impactful because a lot of people have been kind of transitioning like, okay, let me show you the trials and failures and errors that I've, done, all the, bad shit that I've gone through.
Absolutely.
Let me show you and guide you how you can avoid that or how you can get through, the hard times, because there's a lot of people that are looking for that guidance. And so if you can, it's impactful for you, but it's also, an opportunity.
There's that say, if you're having a really bad day, do something for somebody else. It's kind of like the whole pay it forward thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's enough of that going on, especially in real estate.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we are looked at as, we're not looked at as professionals. And I think a lot of that can be changed by if we just start looking inside and knowing that we know what we're doing and we're good at whatever that niche is and focusing on that.
And people being more real,
yes,
less fake.
Yes. Well, and that's what I like with the social media stuff. I post the really good stuff and I post the really crappy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I made a post the other day on a group that I'm in. I'm a moderator on a group with 30,000 moms in real estate. And I'm one of their vendors. I'm one of their top moderators. And I made a post just about, for those of you that are new, yes, there are those of us that post great stuff, the wins, the this, the pretty pictures of that. I'm like, every single one of us has a shitty day. There are days that you can get that call from a client and you are sky high. And within 5 minutes, you're on your knees going, why am I not back in corporate America? 9 to 5. Why can't I just leave this?
Yep.
We all go through it. So it's good to post the good stuff, but you got to post the real stuff.
Yeah.
Too,
Yep.
because it's so fake. So
people connect with that more. And,
they really do.
And they, that stuff, personal stuff and personal trials and errors, they relate with people more, and
Absolutely.
that stuff's going to get shared more.
Absolutely. That's why we're learning and trying on social media. Don't just post your just sold, just listed. Tell a story. How'd you get it sold?
Yeah.
What was the really crappy part of it? What were the issues? And yeah, did you, okay, it didn't sell over asking. That's okay. It's sold.
Yeah.
Tell a story,
Right.
how you did it. Those are things people want to see.
Well, we've talked about a lot of great stuff today. So where can people find you, connect with you and see your growth and what you're doing over the next few years?
Well, so that's actually pretty simple. So now that I'm divorced, yay, I'm not going by my last name anymore. It's just Simply Paige.
Yep.
So it's either just simplypaige.net, or you can find me on Instagram at simplypaigeofficial, or Connect and Cultivate Sacramento.
Yes.
I'm all over social, so it's not hard to find me. I live in Gold River, so my daughter goes to St. Francis. I'm always there.
Yep.
So yeah, it's one of those things. Literally, Google me. I'm everywhere.
Yep.
So,
and with all the social media pop-ups and workshops and stuff, you'll be seeing a lot more of you soon. So
absolutely,
cool.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This has been
thank
wonderful.
You. Of course, it was a pleasure.
Thanks.